Hi, I'm Patrick. That's Steven. That's Eric. And that is Brian. Together, we just got done playing Villagers by Sinister Fish. Join us for Villagers. So, Steven, do you mind just very quickly telling us how to play Villagers?
In Villagers, you are building a village by drafting travelers from along this road. So there are going to be multiple rounds in the game, and each round is going to be made up of a draft phase and a build phase. So in the beginning, you're going to draft between 2 and 5 villagers every round, and that depends on how many of these symbols you have. So on my first turn, I might, for instance, draft this Thatcher, which would cause another card to come out, and then it would go around, and I could also, on my next turn, I could say maybe draft one of these cards up here, all right? And so now I have a Spelunker. So once everybody's done all of their drafting, you're gonna take these and you're gonna put them into your hand. You start the game with 5 cards in your hand. So I have this hand here, for instance, and then I'll get to do some builds. So for instance, some of these cards, they chain off of each other. So you can see that this one would go on top of my Founder, and I could then also potentially build this card on top of that one. You can see that some of the cards require some other type of character to unlock them. So you can pay somebody else's, or if you have your own, you get points for using your own, or you can even pay the bank if one isn't out there to get these cards built. You can also recruit these basic villagers by discarding one of the cards from your hand onto one of those piles to take one of these, and you might need that because they might be a requirement for one of these cards. So you're going to keep doing this over rounds. If at the end of a round, this first market card is showing, then you're going to do the first scoring, which scores things that have these gold point icons on them. Gold is victory points for the game, essentially. And then once all of these are gone and the second market card comes up, you're going to score again all the gold cards, any money that your people have made. And you're going to also score cards that have come up that have a silver icon on them that give you bonuses for having other types of things in your tableau, in your village that you've built. So then you'll count up and see who has the most money, and that is the person who has won the game.
Well, thank you very much. That was insightful and intuitive and dramatic in parts. But could you tell us the thing that you like the most about Villagers?
Yeah, so I like engine building games, but in a lot of them, it can kind of start slowly and build up, and you're just kind of building to this big conclusion at the end. But in this one, there's an early scoring round, which incentivizes you to actually kind of do something epic, get some big play out as early as possible. And I haven't seen that in a lot of engine building games, and I like that twist on it.
That is cool. I have seen games that do have that midpoint scoring, but not necessarily in an engine builder. Brian Fiore, if you had to tell us one thing you liked the least.
One thing I liked the least was probably the theme. I mean, I like Villages, at least the integration of the theme with the mechanics. It just feels kind of like a Euro in terms of like it could be any theme just put on here. That the actual professions of the villagers didn't necessarily tie into the engine building, I think, in any particular fashion. So,
well, if you don't mind me asking, it's a drafting game.
Mm-hmm.
It's an engine building game, and one of the games that I know that you like quite a bit is Mars, the Mars game that I can't think of the name of.
Terraforming Mars.
Terraforming Mars, man. Yeah.
And you think it's dramatically different than that? It's dramatically less themey.
Yeah, I think so. You're not terraforming a planet, so you're kind of just building a village. So
it's like raising a child takes a village. Eric, if you had to pick one thing that you liked the least about Villagers.
So one thing I like the least about Villagers is, I'd say the luck in the game. I know. Like, I agree with Steven's about it. I like that early scoring thing, but something that both Steven and I got to do in that game was a little bit based on luck. I started with a hand of cards that I was able to kind of combo out really, really quickly a super high scoring card. I mean, I got 24 points just off of one card in the first round of scoring, and then that just carries over to that second round of scoring, and that was through no skill of my own. It was just part of what I was dealt in my opening hand. So, I mean, I won, but I don't feel like it was necessarily because I was the smartest guy at the table and I made all the best choices. It was just, I got some of the lucky cards, and I mean, heck, even at the end, I top decked a special card that was just like, cool, for free. Here's 24 more points. Like,
yeah, and on the flip side of that, the luck worked out really well in your favor this time, but on the flip side, it can be really punishing to you too, right? You can build this chain that's, you're trying to get this one card to collect this change, and it can literally not be in the game because it's buried in, or maybe 2 cards in the whole game are what you need, and they're both buried in that deck that isn't coming into play. So you could be sitting there the whole game looking for it. You could be digging for it, taking random cards of the type, and it's just not there, right? You're just spinning your wheels and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
And that kind of segues into the thing I like the most about the game is I think it does a moderate job. I mean, and I think that's a very valid point, Eric. I think that you are not the smartest person at the table.
Oh, I'm definitely not.
I was totally kidding. But the special cards, I think, act as a really good bridge for some of that luck. It's an extra set of cards that do different things, and they kind of sort of work towards possibly not having the cards that you need in that side deck. Or I came in second place and I was dealt nothing very good in the beginning, but I did have one of those specialty cards, actually several of those specialty cards that really helped me bridge the gap. So I like those specialty cards. I think they add some excitement to it, and I think they help mitigate some of that luck.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
Yeah,
I got dealt a pretty good starting hand, and you ended up by beating me by a few points. And I've played the game a few times before, whereas this was your first time playing. And I like that about the game. I like the game. I think it's pretty good for new players.
I like it too. It's definitely going on my shelf.
Now, and one other silly dislike, and this isn't the game's fault. It was a Tabletopia thing, but the what was it? The Apprentice card on Tabletopia is that had so much discussion in our game because it was worded poorly, and it's not the final wording on the card in the actual physical game.
Yeah, I pulled out the physical game, and we're like, oh, yeah, that would have been fine. So get the box instead of playing it on Tabletopia, right?
Yeah, and that goes for every game, really. Just get by the game and don't play it on Tabletopia. But we're doing it because we're practicing safe sex.
Yes.
Social distancing.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
Both
That's
of those
wrong. You actually couldn't be any safer than this right now. I'm Patrick. That's Eric. That's Steven. And that is the Brian Fiore. Thank you very, very much for watching us and enjoying please keep that finger wrapped with something on Just Got Played. Thank you.
Woo! Brian, do you feel like a fromager now, or are you really more like a milkmaid?
I would go with the milkmaid, actually.
I'd agree with that.
So, or the cobbler.
Being a milkmaid actually allows you to have 2 drafts because she brings all the boys to the yard.
Oh my God! I was about to say you guys.